Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Corruption is a deadly cancer in Africa. It's a deadly cancer in Zimbabwe. If there was corruption during Mugabe's time, I think many people would agree that ever since Mnangagwa took over in 2017, corruption has gone into overdrive. What is sad is that we know the details of the extent of the corruption, and yet, as a people, we have remained indifferent. This is, I think, one of the most important documentary evidence on corruption, the Al Jazeera Gold Mafia. We don't have to reach to do any research for ourselves to understand how corruption works. We already have that information at our fingertips. Here is a description of one of the Gold Mafia members explaining how he has managed to corrupt African leaders.
I was born in Africa. I was born in Kenya. And I've been to nearly 80% of Africa.
Kamlesh Patni's rise to become a fixer for Africa's leaders begins in his homeland.
We had embargo on the country in 89, 90. It was dictatorship that time. It was single party. President Moi, Arap Moi.
Daniel Arap Moi refuses to hold free elections. In protest, Western donors block aid. Patni then has a chance encounter.
I was just 24 years old. I was buying a suit in Nairobi and I met Director of Intelligence. Then I told him about gold. I said, look, there's so much gold flowing through Kenya, but it's nothing Kenya is benefiting. It's not the gold.
Patni tells the intelligence chief he has a solution.
I said, I can create 500 million, every year from this if you do a proper license of this gold. So he took me to president.
Wow.
So I became advisor to the president, President Moi. So then he gave, exclusivity.
Patni's company, Goldenberg International, is granted an exclusive license to export Kenyan gold. Instead, gold from what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo is smuggled into Kenya. He sells it abroad and receives a 35% commission from the government. In total, Patni pockets $600 million. It's shared with Arap Moi and the government officials who gave him the license.
Kamlesh Patni is a criminal mastermind, is the only word to describe him. He managed to implement a illicit gold money laundering scheme, which nearly took away over 10% of the Kenyan GDP in value.
I've written books on that. I'll give you the book. Yeah, I've written on how democracy should work. But of course, in 92, there was a lot of fights, riots in the street, and they wanted multi-party.
Patni has advice for Arap Moi. His money will buy support for the president and weaken the opposition.
Just make it multi-party. Because the money is with you, you'll still win. But just for the show. I helped the president to survive.
Arap Moi retires after 24 years as president.
Opposition came in, then they discovered me. They said, who is this young person who kept the president in power and win the election?
This is a pair of needle-nose pliers used by all electricians in Germany. It can replace multiple tools like multimeters, voltage testers.
My apologies.
Then they fought me.
Patney appears in court, charged with fraud. At one point, he seems to be ill. Years later, the trial collapses, and he's never convicted.
You're a thief. This guy's a thief. He stole billions of taxpayers' funds. Shame on you. You have to know he stole billions and he got away. Huh? You're trying to pass the upper. You're a thief.
This is just going to enrage me. I know this. The Kenyan courts went after him for nearly 13 years. He was acquitted of all charges, scot-free. He moved to Zimbabwe to reinvent himself, found new religion, started his own church.
Glory be to God. I'm the one who now again changed Zimbabwe. Today the country is where it is because of the efforts we put in. Otherwise the currency would be useless.
In 2008, hyperinflation ravages Zimbabwe's economy. The central bank prints notes valuing billions in local currency. Zimbabwe's financial collapse follows sanctions imposed by the United States and Europe. The West punishes Zimbabwe's leaders for rigging elections and imprisoning opposition politicians.
We believe that Zimbabwe should not be a part of the international financial system. That means that they can't transact in dollars. So you have to figure out other ways to do that. And the way to do that is to turn your currency, for example, into gold. Because then you can move across the border with gold and it's not hitting the international financial system at that point in Zimbabwe.
With gold, you can just shape shift. You can move the gold without someone tracking it. So for a lot of autocratic governments, it is, I think, a trend that makes sense. It's much harder to enforce sanctions around it.
Patney makes deals with Zimbabwe's sanctioned leaders, which he claims help its people.
Right now, they are quite, stable, they're happy, they are recovering well. Although they still, as usual, the influences are there. But the good thing is that the president listens.
I'm number 2 in gold.
Who's the number 1?
It's an Indian guy.
Indian guy. Yeah.
Pastor Paul. He's just a thief.
Well, Ben, what do you think?
Good day to you and good day to everybody. Thank you for joining us. Listening to this documentary, I always, try and play it over and over again. It's, you are just left, jaw dropping to say, wow, the level of corruption that are in these states, especially where democracy, where human rights abuses are rampant. It's just amazing how, one person, can ringlead the whole entire government, cabinet and all, into making some serious, questionable decisions. And they think that they are fixing or they are helping. But one common thing that these countries have is that in the end, they have, they don't have economic stability. They have political turmoil. There is unrest. People are suffering. then the question is, how then do you claim to say you are helping when it seems as if you are only enriching yourself and those, faithful few that have given you that connection or the opening to trade illicitly? This Al Jazeera documentary, a lot of work has been put into it and had been put into it. What is very disappointing to me here is absolutely nothing has been done, both by those that have been fingered to have played a part in it and the ordinary citizens. They have not taken any action to bringing the perpetrators or to trying to find answers or justice at the end of the day. It's just the tools have been given, but we have failed to use the tools.
Well, what I find amazing here is that as much as people have been saying corruption is a cancer, many of the ordinary person could honestly say, we know corruption is a cancer, but we don't have any details. The Al Jazeera documentary, and it's available for all Zimbabweans to see, provided the evidence of the seriousness of the problem of corruption. If you listen to the documentary tweets from beginning to end, they'll tell you that Zimbabwe's gold mining is worth $2 billion per annum. And 80% of that is being looted. As this guy tried to explain, the looted money is given to the dictators to help bankroll their vote rigging abilities. In other words, the seriousness of the corruption is now undermining the hope the nation might have of ever dismantling the dictatorship. That is what it means. If you listen to it, it goes into detail of how these guys and the fellow Gold Mafia members are able to corrupt the people at the airport, the bank, the police, all the various institutions that are meant to make sure that there is a rule of law. They've been corrupted. And some of the money that has been used to corrupt those officials is the proceeds of the looting. And when 80% of the country's revenue from such an expensive opportunity as gold mining, because this is not only confined to gold, it's happening with diamonds, lithium, and you name it. It means the country's institutions are literally paralyzed. This is what we are facing. And what I find really outrageous is that there are many Zimbabweans out there knowledgeable enough to sit down and realize the seriousness of the problem of corruption and how it is undermining the country's hopes to ever ending the ZANU-PF dictatorship. And yet, they've done nothing about it. This is what is so tragic about Zimbabwe and other African countries for that matter. That an individual like Patton can undermine the country's ability to govern themselves to the point where the whole nation goes into total economic and political meltdown because we can't deal with the few corrupt individuals, because the leadership has been corrupted to the very top. And we sit here twiddling our thumbs, helpless as to what to do. That is tragic.
What I find most disheartening and heartbreaking is that every time you find Zimbabweans have this one question that they always pose: give us a solution. You know, whatever it is, give us a solution, give us a tangible solution. But then you look back, you see Zimbabweans have been given this, you know, they've been given these tools. They have been, you know, given ways to come out of this mess. But it's not that the tools or the ways are not available. It is that
Imagine being able to build anything.
They have their own choice of what they perceive to be the way forward. And they have been doing this for the past 45 years. And no positive result has come out of it. But they are still willing to go on doing the same thing. Yet you find, organizations like Al Jazeera have taken time to give us, a way out. And it takes a lot of time and energy to do all this, documentary, and money. And it seems it's gone to waste because we're not appreciating it. We're not using this to incentivize ourselves to try and push out of this mess. SADC also did the same thing. They gave us a way out of, our problem with rigged elections. But at the end of the day, you find Zimbabweans are still asking, give us a solution. What other solution do you want when you have been given the tools and the solution? To me, it's heartbreaking.
I think I'll just play a bit more of that Al Jazeera documentary.
$100 a week. That's what we do. Buy and sell.
Macmillan and his rival gold dealer Patney work for the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the country's central bank.
There's a Gold Act in Zimbabwe, which makes the central bank the overseer and control and official dealer of gold in Zimbabwe. The central bank was given that mandate because traditionally all currency has always been backed by the bullion.
Small-scale miners produce half of the country's gold. But Zimbabwe's central bank doesn't have enough money to buy gold from them.
I think that 80% of the gold mined in Zimbabwe gets smuggled out.
They said to me, go out and get all the gold that's being smuggled out the country.
Patney and Macmillan buy the gold on behalf of the central bank.
When a person comes to sell me gold, I don't have to write his name down. I don't have to do anything. I just take his gold, pay him, leaves. I deliver it to the government. Government asks me no questions.
We do 20 to 50 million a week. This one is 3 million.
The gold is delivered to a company owned by Zimbabwe's Reserve Bank.
Fidelity Printers and Refiners Private Limited incorporates security and commercial printing, gold refining, buying operations, and a mission to provide printing solutions and gold products to satisfy diverse stakeholder needs.
Fidelity Printers and Refinery. So the printing aspect is obvious. They print government material. Their big service is the gold refinery.
In return for their services, Patney and Macmillan are given licenses to sell the gold abroad.
The license. See, like this is 2 million. We have an account with Fidelity.
The competing mafias fly the gold to Dubai and sell it there. They bring the proceeds back to Zimbabwe in US dollars cash. The government needs US dollars because the local currency has no international value. The dollars buy more gold from the miners and fund further exports. The gold mafias use this scheme to launder money. They offer to help Mr. Stanley.
What would normally happen is we'd bank the gold, get the US dollars and fly it home to Zimbabwe.
Instead, Mr. Stanley is told to set up a gold trading company and bank account in Dubai. He can now get a license to import gold into the United Arab Emirates.
You're going to tell the bank that we're going to be trading in commodities or gold. The money will come to that account all the time.
They place clean money from the official sale of gold into Mr. Stanley's account.
You show that it's imported legally. You show that you sold it to a refinery and the money got paid in the bank account. It's very clean that way.
And now you have access to that money. That's your money. And then you're going to give us the US dollars cash from Hong Kong. We're going to come back with that.
Mr. Stanley's dirty money will be given to the gold mafia's couriers to bring to Zimbabwe. At Harare Airport, the dirty cash is declared as the proceeds from the sale of gold. Once declared, it is clean. Everything appears legal with the right paperwork.
Yes.
1 million?
Cash.
The proceeds of the gold export will, in effect, be counted twice. Declared as clean in Zimbabwe and in Dubai.
I bring back the cash. That's how I buy the gold again.
And the money laundering cycle starts all over again.
The only illegal thing is you giving me the US dollars out of Hong Kong. But they don't know that.
Yeah, it's extremely sad.
This is tragic. This is a serious problem. The country is a failed state. Millions of our people are living in abject poverty because we have failed to govern ourselves. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. And to make matters worse, the ordinary people out there who know what is happening, who know the consequences of the rampant corruption, are doing nothing about it. In this video clip, one of the Gold Mafia was boasting about how Mnangagwa was going to win the 2018 election and then the 2023 elections, and even predicts that he's going to die in power. 45 years of gross mismanagement, rampant corruption in Zimbabwe have reduced the country to the failed state we are. And millions of ordinary Zimbabweans are paying dearly for it. The question is, are we really going to allow this madness to continue? The late Ian Douglas Smith in 1975 boasted that if there was black majority rule, the people would be walking on sewage and think it normal. He was right. We are walking on sewage and worse, and we think it's normal. That is the tragedy of Africa. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. How long are we going to allow this madness to continue? Is the question that we must ask ourselves. Thank you very much, Benjamin. And to the listeners out there, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And we hope you'll be able to join us again, the usual time, 7 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time. Good night.